What's up YouTube, Dow here from Zephyr War Games, bringing you back to another live duel from locals. On the right hand side you have myself playing branded Despia, and on my left you have Jamie who is playing branded Shaddolls. So I win the dice roll, get to go first, normal summon Aluba, and we're pretty much going to see where this goes from here. Now obviously certain hand traps can be painful, so even if you don't see an Ash here, do not be surprised if you see an Ash, an Imperm or Veiler following the branded fusion. And obviously I telegraph a little bit because I searched branded in red, meaning that I've already got a branded fusion in the hand. Now it's a little bit risky because if this doesn't resolve, I don't get a Despia to the graveyard, which makes it a little bit difficult to resolve a branded fusion, branded in red. So this is like one of those periods where it's like, if you Ash that, they're in big trouble. Anyway, the Ash doesn't happen. I get to send a Tragedy and a Fallen of Albaz. I go Chainlink 1 Lubellion, Chainlink 2 Tragedy. Just thinking on what I am discarding as cost for the Lubellion, because obviously I've got the branded in red, and then I have two other cards as well. I believe one of them may be an Ash Blossom. So we end up discarding Ghost Mourner. So we discard the Ghost Mourner, we hold on to the branded in red so that I kind of make the decision that I'm not going to try and dodge Poly. The effects are all fine, so at this point you can kind of assume that there is no Imperm, there is no Veiler, and unless they're thinking extra big brain play to kind of protect you in the end phase, there is no there is no Ash. So I add Comedy off of this one, which means I obviously opened up the Adler Byton. So we've got Fusion Destiny, there you go. I pretty much opened cracked. So we went straight into Mirror Jade, and then we're going to activate Fusion Destiny. I'm in a very dangerous Super Poly zone, because you just Super Poly DPE and Mirror Jade, and I lose both. Apart from the fact that I believe Mirror Jade will still trigger to kind of nuke his board, we'd be in an okay position. So we're going to summon out DPE, we're going to set the Brandon in red, and then obviously the other card in hand is the Adler Byton and Comedy. So we're in an okay position here. And we're going to pass it there. There's no need for me to use Albion to get the Brandon in red. That's kind of at the point where you go, right, okay, I'll save that for my opponent's turn. So, one of the dangerous things in the Shaddoll matchup is Schism, apart from obviously Shaddoll Fusion that. But Schism can be very dangerous. So when they get to go first and they set up themselves, or they set themselves up with like a Winda, we got to keep in mind as well, is Schism non-target sends as part of its resolution effect. So if Schism was to be good and go through, then resolving that would send a Mirror Jade or a DPE, which is quite dangerous. So he goes for the App Clone. He's got chain links to go from here, so I believe he's got App Clone and did he send Windy or did he send Skomata? He sent Skomata, which will obviously send Windy. So he goes 1 Skomata, 2 App Clone, and he's targeting the DPE. So it's obviously at this point where I've got to think, like, now's the time to use DPE. He'll get the Shaddoll Fusion. He'll get a search off of the App Clone, which is a bit of a pain. But even if I Mirror Jaded away the App Clone, I'm pretty sure DP still gets fizzled. So we'll use DP's effect. We'll kill itself, and it'll float away. So I mean, unless my opponent OTKs me this turn, I should be good to go. So we resolve the chains now anyway. App Clone fizzles because its target is no longer there, and then Skomata will send. Skomata sends the Windy, and the Windy is going to set one down. So we resolve. He's got obviously turn player, so he gets Chainlink 1, App Clone, Chainlink 2, Windy, and I get Chainlink 3, DPE. Now, unfortunately, apart from opening up Shaddoll Fusion, his back was already up against the wall because he had to deal with a non-target banish, which can technically be used twice because I activate Brandon in red with Adler Byton. I get to bring it back. Plus 2 non-destruction targets, or 1 non-destruction target, depending on how many materials you use for Chimera, and then another non-destruction target off of DPE. So, like, you would need a Dark Ruler, and even then, it still gives you a banish, or still leaves me with a banish and a play. So, there's still a lot for me to do. He obviously discards Keeper of Dragon Magic. He is playing the branded version, but he's kept it on a very high budget. Paralyzed Lost is, or Branded Lost, as it is now known, is very dangerous for me because it basically means that I can't negate his fusion summons, and the second he tries to do that, I can't do anything in the resolving chain. So if part of their chain is a way of destroying Mirror Jade or getting rid of Mirror Jade, getting rid of my back row, I can't activate them, which is quite painful. So it's at this point where I'm kind of forced to do stuff. So I Mirror Jade to banish the set, because I know it's Falco, so I know that's not coming back anywhere. Which, to be fair, Branded Lost is actually a very, very powerful kind of card in this scenario. If I left it on the board, which obviously I'm not going to let it stay on the board. So I activate the Branding in red. I target the Tragedy. If he's got a DD Crow or a Bell, then it's obviously Sad Days. But we activate this. We fuse with Adler Byton, Mirror Jade, and Tragedy, and then bring out the Guardian Chimera. Guardian Chimera is going to go chain it 1. He only used one card I only used one card on the board, so it's still a legal target. 2 Adler Byton, 3 Tragedy, because I'm just protecting that Adler Byton, bringing back that Mirror Jade, because that Mirror Jade then guarantees I'm going to get another non-target banish. Keep in mind that you can only control one Mirror Jade, but Mirror Jade effect is only once per copy, so if it leaves the board and then comes back, it basically resets. So we search out the Aluba off of the Tragedy, we summon back the Mirror Jade off the Adler Byton, and then I'm going to get to draw 2 off of the Guardian Chimera, and I pop the Branded Lost because I just can't leave that on the board. Like, he has that with a fusion spell. I mean, I'm in a little bit of trouble because I can't, pretty much if you activate Branded Fusion while you've got Branded Lost, it's a free card chain link, and I can't like do anything with it. So unless I've got an Ash in hand, he opened up another one. I was like, you can do this can be activated twice in one turn. He's like, yep. I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, in this example, if I don't have an Ash, you activate Branded Fusion. Your Branded Fusion can get you all the way up to a Mirror Jade and completely destroy me. Now, this is obviously really good as well because he normal summons the Albaz and he discards Ghost Ogre as cost. Now, obviously, he's going to fuse with the Mirror Jade and that will then let him get his own Mirror Jade. I can't let that go through, so I activate Mirror Jade to banish. Now, this is where a lot of people get confused. I'm not negating his fusion summon. If he is still able to legally fusion summon, it will still work. But because he is not legally able to fusion summon, because you need to use Albaz himself to do it, or for him to get where he needs to go, he will need to use Albaz. As he can't do that, the Mirror Jade works. And he kind of sets one on passes. And in this pass, I kind of go, right, okay, well, Albion in the end phase, add me a Branded Fusion, cut the deck, draw for turn. And he flips Schism. So he flips Schism during the main phase, and I just let him know. I was like, you can still activate it, but you can't use his effect until later on. It wouldn't have mattered either way because I was bringing back DPE. I knew that he had a Schism, so I knew that was being set. Now, obviously, I can't respond to his fusion summons of it, but I would activate DPE during the standby phase to pop it, and then flip all of these to attack. And that is way over 8k. I think that's like 8-8. And I still obviously had a full hand of pretty much everything to do what I needed to do with. So it just kind of shows you the power. Now, obviously going first is a little bit more difficult, or a little bit more difficult for the Branded Despias, because a Winda can be incredibly powerful. Like a Winda straight away shuts off Branded Fusion. There's no point in you playing a Branded Fusion under Winda because all you get is a Lubellion or an Albion. So the only reason that you would do so is because it guarantees you a monster that is going to be stronger than Winda. So you get the Foolish Burials, which is great because you also get to search out your Tragedy, not your Tragedy, sorry, your Aluba or your Adler Byton, should you need to, meaning that you could Branny and Red during the next turn. But, yeah. the game that comes up is very, very interesting because I was like, oh my god, you've actually like completely mind messed me, because I thought he was going to, well, you'll see in a minute of what he does, and I'm like, what? So I thought it was going to go south real quickly. Now, siding in for this matchup, I'm not too sure what Jamie would side in for me. Obviously, D barriers going first can be very, very powerful. I'm personally siding in. I'm trying to remember what I'm siding in. I think I'm siding in evenly matched because it just clears their board out completely. I think I'll put in 2 D barrier because I'm like, if I break the board, or if I'm able to set up a board and set a D barrier, he doesn't play that turn, and then I can finish the game off the next turn after. Cosmics, because if I activate Cosmics during the draw phase, I can get rid of the Schisms, which can actually be incredibly damaging, or I can chain Schism to chain Cosmic to the activation of Schism. So I believe I also put in Nibiru. No, I won't put Nibiru because I don't think he summons enough for me to make Nibiru worthwhile in a sense. So, yeah, and like I said, D-Barrier is incredibly good. I think Evenly Matched is kind of good as well because branded in red, ideally, you want a monster on the field and on the board. So, I mean, you can still dodge a little bit during the battle phase because if you've got one, for example, if you've got one monster and branded in red, you just chain branded in red, fuse off the monster you've got on the board into your, like, whatever you want to do, Masquerade or whatnot. You get to keep one card, but then as you're resolving the chain, if you've got the Adlerbind, it will just bring back the card that you fused off. So, anyway, it gets to go first on this one. My hand's like, eek. I think I've got an Ash in here somewhere. And he just starts setting 2, 3, 4, and I was like, what? And he goes, activate a lore. And I was like, oh, okay, so he's had to set his entire hand for a lore. Albion, and he drew into another allure. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, if you've got a third allure set back there with like Shaddoll fusion and Branded fusion, I'm gonna be like, what? And completely like lose it. It's absolutely crazy. So currently he's banished Albion and he's banished Keeper of Dragon Magic. As you see, he's tried to keep it budget, which is fair enough. So he's got the Branded fusion. I'm like, Tempter Ash? That goes through. And then I believe he's got... What has he got left? I'm trying to think. I remember what it was. One of them is a Allure of Darkness. There you go. There's his third Allure of Darkness. I was like, hot damn. So he draws 2. And I believe he draws into... So he's got a Keeper of Dragon Magic. But in his hand is a Kit and a Shaddoll monster. So he's kind of forced to activate Shaddoll Fusion and hard fuse Kit and Squamata to give him a Winda. So that's kind of like, ouch. Like, you don't want to be doing that, but sometimes it happens. A Winda lock can be very powerful if your opponent doesn't have a way to out it. So, like, if I've got no way of special summoning a monster, like, yes, of course, if I can special into DPE. Like, in my particular matchup, I've got DPE, I've got Super Poly, I've got Branded Fusion. All get me to monsters that can deal with Winda. So it's not that big of a threat. I believe he sent Falco? Or is that Beast? No, he sent Beast. So he's basically just drawing. Like, if I draw and Lockbirded him, this would have been so good. And he drew into a Gozen match, which, again, is a bit of a weird one. In my particular matchup, it can be damaging because it stops Lubellion. So, it basically means that whatever materials I send with Branded Fusion are pretty much gone, which can be a little bit damaging. So I was like, oh, I was going to go for Albion and then try and make plays off the back of that. And I was like, oh, luckily Albion's the dark and Lubellion's the light. I mean, if he had, like, any way, like, I half expected a D-Barrier. I was like, a D-Barrier would have just wrecked me. I believe it would have negated Winda, so I would have been able to continue, but all I do is special summon, so. Anyway, we're going to send Albaz, and I believe I send the Light Hexil. Yeah, Light Hexil. This is obviously to get Albion. Because I don't want to... I could have sent Tragedy, but I think I've got an Aluba in the hand. Or I've either that, or I've got a couple of side cards in my hand that I don't really want to lose with the discard. Oh no, I wouldn't be discarding anyway, because I can't use this vet, do we? Anyway, this play was just to get me to battle phase, so that I could kill the Winda. He'll get the Shaddoll Fusion back, which is completely fine. Oh, that's why I didn't go for Lubellion, because Lubellion would have been light. And I think I've got Fusion Destiny, or I've just got roots into Dark monsters a lot more consistently than lights. So you'd rather be locked under Darks than you would be locked under lights, which is really important. So moving to main phase 2, we've got Branded opening. Obviously, if I'd done this during the draw phase, I would have just added rather than summoned, whereas now I can summon it and protect everything. So we discard the Tragedy. So I opened up, like, the combo. So there comes Aluba. Now that keeping it all dark as well. Aluba will get effect to search. This will give me the brand in red, and then I can kind of go from there. So just waiting on this to kind of resolve. I think I'll get the Adler Bitem off of Tragedy. Let's kind of play it from there. I think it's Adler Bitem from Tragedy. And then Brandon and Red off of Aluba. And then obviously it goes an unknown, and then he's got Shaddoll Fusion in the hand. So I do take a bit of time trying to think about this, because it was kind of like, do I try to go to Guardian Chimera and clear the back row out, just in case that set could be damaging? Or do I go for Masquerade and start burning his life point down? Because at the moment, he's only taken 300 damage. So we go for the Branded in Red eventually. Take my time on that one. So we've got our hand is Branded in Red, Adlerbyton, and I can't remember what the last one is. I think it's a hand trap. Oh no, it's not a hand trap because I get that in a minute. I've got Branded Opening to protect from destruction, and that's pretty much it. So the graveyard's not exactly that stacked because of that Winda and that Branded Fusion kind of fizzle. And it's just trying to make sure I don't leave a lot on the board that he can kind of just destroy next turn. Obviously, you also got to be weary of the construct, because if he brings the construct down, that can then pretty much beat over any of my monsters on my board without me taking any damage. It just destroys them. So you do have to be quite protected against that. I knew he had the Shaddoll Fusion, so I knew that was coming. And again, with the Shaddoll Fusion successfully resolving, it would cause a lot of issues. And at this point, you've kind of got to think, does he go to an App Cologne? Does he go to a Construct? Or does he go to a Winda? And I was like, if he goes to a Winda, that's not really that damaging for me, because I've got a monster that can just kill it. So I'm not worried. It might trigger some of the cards that he sends, but I was like, a Construct is probably more damaging to me, and is probably better for him. So at this point, I now chain the Branded in Red. I kind of want to keep him under the Gozen, because that will then cause issues. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get the draws off Chimera. So we use Tragedy, Adlerbyton, and Aluba. So we get one pop. I'm going to go for the set card because I don't feel that Gozen is worth it. I've got no fusion monster to bring back with the Adlerbyton, but I can bring back not Tragedy, Aluba to give me a free search. So I'm pretty much setting up my future plays. I feel like this board, unless he's got Super Poly set, is strong enough. So at least with the Guardian Chimera, I can trigger that set. So he sends, I think he sends Falco, and he sends the Light Shaddoll. Oh, he sends Windy, sorry. So he goes Chainlink 1 Windy, Chainlink 2 Construct. And then I've got to start figuring out my chains. So obviously, I'm going to go 3 Chimera and then 4 Adlerbyton. Kind of go from there. Again, the issue is Construct is the stronger option for him to choose, but it also locks him into lights when a lot of Shaddoll cards are like, I really want to be dark. He can still set under Gozen, which is why the next play that he makes is completely legal and fine, and then that kind of guarantees him future recursion. So shuffling this up, the Tragedy adds me an Aluba, the Adlerbyton revives me an Aluba, and then he resolves his Construct. Oh, I resolved the Chimera, so draw in 2 and pop in 1. So we're going to pop the set. I kind of consider getting rid of the Gozen, and I kind of consider getting rid of the Construct, but I'm like, if I get rid of the Construct, it just opens him back up to go his Dark Root option. He's already got the Forest Burial off the Construct, and then it will add back the Shaddoll Fusion. So again, it will just give him recurring plays. Whereas if I keep him locked under a Construct... Oh, no, I do decide to get rid of Construct. Clearly, I don't fear the back row. I thought I was going to keep him under the Construct. Completely forgot that he could send Schism as well, which is funny. Sets Falco off of Windy. Construct, because I destroyed it, he gets to add back the Schism, which is very stupid of me. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. Still got to resolve the Aluba. Oh, it's Branded Fusion. I should have killed it. No. But I drew an Ash off of the Chimera, so I suppose that's not the end of the world. Did I not search off the Aluba? Maybe I didn't. Wow. It's a major misplay if I didn't. My bad. Anyway, like from this point on the Gozen, I'm not fret at all. So Branded Opening during the draw phase again. Absolutely love doing that. Sending Chain. No, that was it. So I drew into Chain and I sided out 1 Chain, 1 Poly, and 1 Patchwork. And I was like, oh, this Chain is useless to me. Like, I sided them out, but forgot to side out the second Chain. It's just something that I've been trying out, like whether I actually want the deck to be a 45 card deck, or if I'm happy to cut it down to 40, like how much do I rely on the Chain Poly play? So that's pretty funny, actually. So, whoops. Keeping in mind as well that if I summon something off of Branded in Red this turn, it can't attack directly. So that's something to keep in mind. And obviously Falco, if it's destroyed by card effect, it will reset itself. If I flip it, it brings back Construct. So there's a lot that I've kind of got to take into account. The hand's not great. And then it's trying to just like mathematically figure out. He's only taking 300 damage. And I don't want to like keep letting him loop. Obviously, I know he's got... I've got to be careful as well because I know he's got the Schism. So the Schism can summon out Winda, and Winda will send any of my cards for free. So I activate the Fusion Destiny just to kind of... It's now this point where it's like, okay, well, if you flip that and make Winda, cool. Like, that would suck. But you won't be able to send my DPE. And now that he lets the DPE go through, I no longer worry about that Schism. So he probably should have activated Schism to send my Chimera to the graveyard. That would have been my route of play. It would have been the safer route of play as well, because then that would mean... No, I make a minor mistake here. I forgot that had only been... This Alubra in the middle had only been summoned that turn, so I was like, whoops, my bad. Put it back to defense. But that's fine, because it's just free pop fodder. Now, obviously, I can't do DPE to the Schism, because if I do that, he can chain Schism summon Winda. So I have to put him in a position where he has to activate the Schism. And keeping in mind that Schism can only be activated during the main phase. For him, the best thing to do would have been to save to main phase 2. But I don't know if he survives. Yeah, I mean, would I have saved that till main phase 2? I mean, he pretty much fell into what I was trying to get him to do. But we activate this, the Hog flip, the Falco flips, resets Construct. Construct will destroy any special summon monster I attack with it. I can't remember, why do I attack with Chimera? I don't know why I attack with Chimera. Oh, because her defense is 25, that's why. And then I banish Branded Opening so that Chimera doesn't get destroyed by that card effect. And then DPE, and he still gets the effect of Construct, so he resets the Schism, and then 5k damage. So he's taken 5-3 so far. He's got a Schism and a Shaddoll fusion, a set 1, and I've got a DPE that can just, you know, constantly float a little bit. Yeah, Gozen isn't the best card for this. He's obviously a little bit inexperienced with the Despia matchup, because personally Gozen would be coming straight out. There's no need for it to stay in the deck. It stops Lubellion plays though, which is pretty good. Activate Shaddoll fusion, activate Brandon in red in response, and then he pretty much just scoops there. He's like, yeah, there's no way I can break through what you've got remaining, and kind of leaves it there. But it's definitely a good game. I just don't feel that the Shaddoll matchup or the Shaddoll deck got going, really. Like, you kind of saw it in game 2 where there was a lot of setting and trying to draw into stuff, and it just didn't happen. Anyway, I hope you like this video. I hope this has given you like a couple of insights into the duel itself and how the decks play and works from there. As absolutely always, guys, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.